It's nice and warm in here.
Windows open too.
Yeah, the air conditioner's not quite what it used to be.
2 more weeks till the chillers.
It'll be freezing.
All right, are you ready, Madam Clerk?
Yep.
All right, we will open this meeting. I make sure I'm on the right meeting, 2 o'clock, for our SLFRF, also known affectionately as Slurpee funds, request, review and discussion. Colleen, waited until you took a swallow, and then I will call on you to walk us through the process again.
Absolutely. So, gave you the packet at the beginning of the week, and that was follow-up information on any questions that you had from previous applicants and all the new ones. So, and I did notice that I cut off that first column that tells what's what on here. So, completed, not funded, county, approved and in progress. The bottom blue ones are the new ones, which are what we're covering today.
Blue is the new.
Blue is the new, yes.
Okay.
So received back information from most everybody. Cataldo Water District is the first one on the list. They were requesting the $9,169.61 for the pump out of their station to make sure that they continue to pump water.
And we had asked some further questions.
Correct. So they did come back with the bid from, or the estimate from the Specialty Pump Services and their budget for the water district.
Okay. And they mentioned that they do have a contingency fund budget of $10,000.
Correct.
Okay. All right, if we're doing this like we did the last time, I guess we're walking through each one of these, asking questions, and then we can come back and vote.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions about the new material that Cataldo Water sent us?
Nope.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right.
Next one is City of Mullen. They have had a devil of a time getting contractors up there to do bids, but they were able to come up with a bid. And we did discuss about how this is going to be potentially phased out in segments instead of trying to eat that whole elephant. And so Shell was able to send me 3 different bids, one for the entire project, one for the south stairs and one for the east ramp. The stairs and the ramp are in pretty bad shape, but that was how he pulled those together and was able to get different pricings for those.
So we're looking at the entire project is $155,000.
Correct.
But even just to replace their south stairs was $100,000
Correct. 102.
for a staircase. That's a big set of stairs, I guess.
It is a large one, and that's the demo, pull it out and replace it. The concrete work that is the whole front of that building, basically.
Okay. Any questions about the breakdown, the bids that we've got now from Mullen that we requested?
I have no questions right now.
The minimum bid was $62,694?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that was the,
One part of
For
it.
the ramp,
to
yeah.
just do the smallest piece of the project.
Yeah. Okay.
So those 3 bids are for 3 different things.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I did have last time was what is the morning club used for? And so I did get back responses. Multi-use facility, there's a bowling alley, the library, the auditorium. They rent the auditorium out. They have senior lunches on Wednesdays, Zumba on Wednesdays, and then they have all the gatherings, the baby showers, birthdays, reunions, receptions, meetings. Heckler meets there. They have their craft fair and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet, as well as the Jeep Jamboree. So
It's their community.
it's their
building.
main hub. Yeah.
Yeah, any other funds dedicated toward this?
A
You know?
portion, yeah. I believe Shell said they have, and I apologize, I don't have that here. I think he
Okay.
said they had enough set aside to make up why they were asking only for the 100 instead of the entirety of it.
I meant to ask in the audience, did we have anybody here from Cataldo Water District today? Nobody. Do we have anybody here for the City of Mullen application today? No. Okay. Any other questions this time? Okay, next.
The city of Wardner, so they had requested the 2 speed signs, the radar signs, to remind people not to go zooming through the town. Did come back with a budget for the city, and they were able to get a reduction in the cost for the 2 signs, as well as the bid from Silver Valley Electric for the installation part of it that was requested. So instead of $9,959, they decreased it to $7,444, so $7,500. And that was a reduction of, gosh, my mental math is not working, but about $800 from the sign cost
Okay,
and the contractor cost was substantial.
so they did
Who's the
that,
contractor doing that?
getting another bid.
So,
Silver Valley Electric.
for the electrical, yes. They had 2,800 on the original.
So
So
Ricky
they-
Gilbert, one of the Warner commissioners, is gonna do the work and charge this city, okay.
That, yeah, I don't know, that was not clarified. When I asked for the bids on the work, this is what they came back with, was the new signs. And then the city doing the $600 and the $60 part of it.
Okay. And do we have anybody here from City of Wardner today? No. Okay, all right. No further questions for the Wardner?
No.
No questions.
All right. Next.
Friends of the River, so they have requested dumpsters and dumping fees, and a help with getting garbage bag, I'm not saying that even the right way to do it. The garbage bag distribution system for people to get garbage bags to pick up their own trash. And that was
For the
anywhere from
bags.
5,000 to 10,000.
Okay, and I see Dawn is here today. Do you have anything that you would like to say on behalf of this request, to support this request?
Sure, yeah, as far as the bags are concerned, I think, you know, we've tried to make it known to the different agencies and the public that we have done a prototype of the kinds of bag dispensers that are in the Clearwater, the fish bags that are at launches and campsites for people to, if they have trash from their boat or their campsite, they can put in. And I have been actually already purchasing compostable bags to put into the dispensers that we want to be able to install. But the dispensers themselves will probably, once we finish manufacturing them, run us about $1,000. But that aside, it's the costs of providing the dumpsters and then the landfill fees that is the most pressing. Because the others, and again, everyone knows, you know, we're always, as others are, trying to raise money in order to provide for community services. So that's something that, if I can clarify, the bags themselves we'll provide as we can, if there's funds available, but it is a system that does not allow them just to roll off a ton of bags. That's like one at a time, so it's very intensive. You can't just start stealing a ton of them. You could, but you're gonna be there a long time. And as we get them installed at the launches with the help of Fish and Game and Parks and Rec and all of that, then, you know, that kind of funding will go into that. But otherwise, it's all, bulk of it is dumpsters and landfill.
What's the total cost for dumpsters and landfill? Is that the 6,000?
That, well, for this year alone, we've already paid $3,000 to MCE, and that is basically almost like an every other weekend cost. And then the landfill ends up running us a little over $1,000 every year. Depends on how many tires we pull from the river with the vessel. So where last year we didn't pull We were under like 100 pounds from the year before, but they add extra for things like that. For tires are extra, and then it depends on what gets put in that dumpster. The weight, sometimes, and again, we've been trying to pull out the heavy duty steel and mattresses and all that stuff, but no matter what, we're now also being charged not just for the dumpster fees, landfill, but whatever we bring that came from the dumpsters, because they say, well, it's not your personal trash. So one way or the other, it's gonna cost us this summer, I'm sure, upwards of $4,500 to, fund it all through the summer, so $4,500 to $5,000, but it is what it is.
And part of that is paying solid waste, the extra
That's the
fees.
landfill, yes. And,
All right.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping we'll get some relief with.
Okay. Any other questions for Friends of the River? Next.
The Shoshone Sportsmen's Association, they were able to get a couple bids, breaking down the $25,701.80 to rehab the fish ponds, and the $13,785 that would be the installation of windows and doors on the buildings there, the residents there.
So they were able to get the bids that we passed about.
So we tabled these guys last time. we didn't
Correct,
actually-
because we didn't have any bids.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on the Sportsman Association, which is the fish hatchery?
No.
Okay. Next.
The last one is the Silver Valley Cat Wranglers. I have not received the requested budget, the budget breakdown that we had requested, so I don't have any updates from the last presentation.
Which is what we had told them, we were kind of stuck until they gave us more information.
Correct.
Okay. So we don't have any further information on the cats. Okay, any other questions about the Silver Valley Cat? Do we have anybody here from the Cat Wranglers? Okay. All right. Then I guess we need to go back through the list like we have the last time or two. Everybody but one provided us the extra information. So we need to take a look at them and decide yes, no, or propose an amount that we think is accomplishes something. So start with Cataldo Water District. I'm trying to go back in the order that you had them in. Sure. They have requested the $9,169 for the emergency pump repairs and replacement. But they have since told us that they do have a $10,000 emergency budget. What's the pleasure of the board?
I don't mind helping them, with the backup. I mean, there'd be a lot of people without water if they didn't have that.
I would agree. They have a $10,000 extra budget,
But what if something else goes out, then they're down.
so.
So just discussion here before we have a motion, are you thinking the whole amount? Are you thinking providing part?
I'll propose the whole amount.
Propose the whole amount. So is
Or
that a
$9,000.
move?
I'll make a motion to
A
propose
motion.
$9,169.
I'll second
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? No further discussion?
No.
Okay. I could support doing part of that, but I feel like they should pay for some of that since they're a taxing entity that should come from part of theirs. So I understand your sentiment, but I think we should be paying a part instead of a whole. With that said, any further discussion, we will take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Okay. So Cataldo Water District, And then keeping track out of all of these requests, Colleen, we have requests for $204,000 in front of us today. And we have $60,000,
61,000.
61,000. And we just spent 9. Okay,
52.
all right. City of Mullen. Requesting 100,000. Yet their bids range from a partial project for 62 to a second and different partial project for 102 for a total project 155. Did they say, Colleen, how they, if we gave them the whole 100, how they would come up with the other 55?
I would have to go back to my emails. There was a plan, but I can't articulate that today.
Well, we don't have 100.
As I say, we don't
anyway.
even have that to offer,
But
so, or even half.
I was just curious, like, why they were asking for 100 when their bid was for 155.
And if we did grant a portion of it, what can they actually get done?
Yeah. I think my first inclination would be to give them something because they're a community building, but even their smallest project is more money than we have. And if you look at the 5 items on the list, they would need all 5 to actually tear down and replace the stairs, or they would have incompletes. I mean, if we give them enough to tear it down, then they don't have anything to put it back with. They want 16,000, they need 16 to demo, 16 to replace the ramp, 16 to repair the asphalt adjacent to the ramp. The rest is the heating coil that goes in the ramp, and remove and restore the handrail. All those would be necessary to make it meet code. Have they indicated they have some matching funds, or they have some?
The
Okay.
city.
Have they tried for
They-
other grants?
A few. I think they continue to do, what they've done is a whole lot of bubble gum and baling wire over the years. They keep replacing or repairing it, and that's been way more costly than actually just replacing it. So they've hit a point of, we've gotta do something.
So, my question is, Colleen, do you think if we gave them even a part of their lowest bid, they could come up with the rest, or do we know that?
I believe they could, and honestly, they could accept or reject, and it could come back too. If they feel that now that things have come into summer and hopefully they've received any other bids.
Yeah, we've got these 3.
Willier was supposed to be up there soon, but he hadn't yet as of the last time I talked to Sean.
I would like to see what we can do for them, but, realizing what funds we have left and what would actually be able to help them with,
Yeah.
get started, or.
Well, does anybody wanna move? I'm thinking of maybe that we set aside an amount contingent on them being able to make up the rest to finish the project, and if they can't, then we take back our set aside.
What, 20,000?
You thinking 20,000?
Yeah.
You thinking 20? Okay, now I'm thinking 20. Okay, then, I'll motion that we set aside 20,000 contingent on them being able to successfully complete the project or not this year. If they don't have the rest of the other 40, then it's a no-go.
Absolutely.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
that. Aye.
Motion carries.
So we got 32,000 left.
And lots of applications. City of Wardner is asking now, they've gotten the better price of $74.44. And so, and when they gave us their budget, which looks like their entire city budget is $102,000. So these things are a little bit out of their reach normally. Do they ever tell us why they need 2 and why 1 wouldn't work, or have they indicated?
Either end, just to remind people, to not zoom up or down the hill.
Do we think it would help them to have one?
I'm okay with one and not the labor.
And not the labor?
Yeah.
So do the math real quick then, what are you suggesting?
One of the signs. We'll pay for it.
25,
29, 37, is that correct? I'm doing that in my head.
okay.
What would half of a sign be? Half of two signs, I'm just kidding.
2937.
Who needs a calculator? All right. I do, usually.
Triples 3,000 towards their sign.
Pardon?
One sign at 3,000.
One sign would be 3,000 and they would have to come up with the 300 for the labor
Okay.
and the electrical contractor part of this thing.
Yes.
Okay. What if they said they couldn't do that, the grant would just come back? All right. Does anybody wanna make a motion to one sign or two?
I'll make a motion to grant one sign.
I'll second it.
At $3,000?
I was just
Have
rounding,
two.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever the actual cost of the sign.
$2,937. Okay, and you seconded?
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. What do we got left? 3261, so getting down.
So we got 29,000.
Friends of the River is next on my list. We have helped them once already, I believe. What was that money for?
That was, half the vessel cost to build the in-river cleanup vessel, which,
Which
we
the
are-
former commission did.
yes, and we
Thank
are
you
so
very much,
grateful
former
to
commission.
them. Yeah, and we will be needing volunteers to help pull tires again shortly, after the flood. And everything else in the river.
I know that when we had a meeting, a month or so ago, I had suggested that we try and do something to help with the solid waste costs, because it struck me as odd that we're charging them for solid waste that they're picking up for free. It's the public solid waste. I think, I talked to solid waste and it sounded like that could be upwards of $3,000 to $4,000 in costs for solid waste.
It also presents other people coming out and say, well, we're cleaning up the river too, we want our fees waived. I would say it would be,
I would say they would, if they organized a nonprofit and started to do that in an organized fashion, then I think I'd have to say, we'd have to consider that, but, I'm interested in supporting part of this because, we've already given them some and I wanna keep spreading the money up to others, but I'm interested in seeing them get some of the solid waste fee covered so that we aren't discouraging them from collecting that public trash that we would have to do otherwise. So I'm gonna motion that we give them $3,500 to go towards the dumpster rentals and the dump solid waste fees.
And that would be
And I'd
wonderful.
second that motion.
Further discussion? Further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'll oppose.
Okay, 2 for, 1 against. $3,500. Where are we now, Jeff? 20-something?
25,764.
And we are to
Sportsman?
sportsmen's. All right, we'd asked them last time for bids. They have provided bids. We have 2 separate bids. One is for the plumbing that supplies the water for the ponds and the hatchery. And their hope of public fishing again at some point. And they've talked in their paperwork about why. The second one is for the restoration of that 19, Jay, do you know how old that fish hatchery building is? Like,
Older than me.
turn of it. Oh, well, then let me ask John. John,
Just as old.
just as old. Okay, was it there when you were? Okay, so that very old building.
When I was a kid.
I think it's about I think about 36.
Is it?
About there, I think.
About 36? Okay, so they're looking at 13.7 for the windows and doors, which are becoming a heating issue, I guess. And or they're looking for 25.7 for the water system for the fish. Am I saying that right, Colleen?
The hatchery.
The hatchery. I mean, did I get the numbers? Did I just read that correctly? Okay. Any discussion? Any suggestions? We have how much left? 27?
25.7.
25?
764.
Well, we don't have enough to take care of the whole problem.
I don't mind helping restore.
The fish hatchery.
The plumbing or the building?
Is that the 13?
The 13 is the
for the
building.
residents, for the building, the caretakers.
Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion, if you're both saying the same thing, that we support the restoration of the replacement of the windows and doors on the building to the tune of 13,700. The goal, that is open to the public. The goal is to keep it that way.
Now, what's the 25,700?
That's plumbing
That's
to
plumbing.
the ponds, which is gonna be an issue at some point here, that if you look through that first letter on the first page,
Yeah.
that's backup water for the ponds and the hatchery. It's a must to keep the raceway supplied with water to keep the fish alive and to be able to do the fish planting.
Would that be more important than the windows in the building?
Problem is I don't see any way to divide it up. Most of the
Yeah.
money is going into pipe. I guess they're doing
400.
their own labor.
Yeah.
So we don't,
Where do they get their funds?
we just have enough to cover their pipe, or we have enough to cover their doors. We don't have enough to do both. And they're providing the labor, so I guess that's the Sportsman's Association is doing the labor.
And we may have more funding coming in later on. I would say to do the pipe, the 25,701 maybe.
And we have 25,700 and something left here.
Yep.
Well, that's nifty.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, do you wanna make a motion
I'll make a motion for 25,701.80 for the pipe,
for the plumbing?
the plumbing.
Okay, and you would
Second?
second that? Any further discussion?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm on the board of directors for that association, and it's hard to balance which one's more important. And if it boils down to having to choose one, the pipe's more important. But there's a couple of other opportunities that are sitting out there that could help us with the water system.
That's what I was wondering.
But we won't know for sure until we can apply for the grant. We're being encouraged to apply for a grant for the water system. And to replace, what really needs to be done is a 12-inch pipe that runs 1,500 feet. And that, one of the bids was $49 a foot, and it made it like $72,000. And to go to a 10-inch pipe was $50-some thousand. And then we've got smaller pipes, and we're talking about one of the smaller pipes. But because it's so critical, you've got the Fish and Game strongly behind us. And there's some other grants that we're hopeful we could get as much as $70,000 for the whole system.
That would do the 25,000 in pipe too.
I think so. I don't know for sure, but if not, we could actually write that into the grant. they've got, the granting source has a lot of money that they can, if they wanna free it up. And if I could just make a suggestion, that can this sit in abeyance like for 2 months to find out if we get funded with this other grant, then we wouldn't use that money, we could use the other. But if we don't get funding, that money would be there for us to use.
For the
That would
building.
be at your discretion, compliance has no issues.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, and if they do get the funding, then it comes back and
Okay.
available for other applicants.
Would you be willing to amend your motion?
Yeah.
Amend your motion to say we're gonna set aside the 25,700 for a couple of months while they determine if they have this other funding or not?
Okay, so moved.
I'll second.
So amended, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that's critical to keep that place going.
Okay,
So
motion carries.
my ask on that is keep me in the loop of when you're
Absolutely.
applying and what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Now, we do have one more. They did not supply us any further information as requested. I'm going to motion that we table that one indefinitely until they either rewrite it or submit the information we asked for, and we have more funds, because we don't have any funds for the cat wranglers. We have $63. I still think we should table this one until they provide us the information that we needed.
I'll agree.
So you second?
Yeah.
I moved it.
You moved it,
I
I'll
moved it.
second it then.
She seconded it. Any discussion on the cat wranglers? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'm a cat wrangler supporter. Don't start anything. I just think we need a budget to figure out what they're doing there with that. All right, Colleen, what else is left in front of us? That it?
I did go back through, did the annual look through, reevaluated what was, in there, what it was being used for, where we're sitting with those. Some of the projects were completed and didn't spend everything that was set aside. So that was where that additional 20,000 came back to. In that process, I also reached out to everybody who had not already started using funds. So those that have started using their funds, we've already gone through all those conversations. But anybody who had not started their projects yet, just to see if they were going to, what's this look like, has this changed, any substantial information that I should know. And then also through our processes of conversations about procurement and what that looks like, we just made sure that everybody was aware that there's some procurement issues that they need to be very aware of and work with us on that. So I did receive responses from everybody that was on that list and updated. We do have a new guy at the water district, the East Shoshone Water District, so Carl has left, and Dale, I think is his name. So we'll have a sit down and have that conversation with him on what's going on and what they need to do. But everybody that was over the limits already has their compliance going, that has started their project. So we can pull that in anytime that we need to.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have a room full of people, so I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, do we have any public comment or questions, starting over here on just going around the room, John?
Just here to listen.
Okay, and thank you for helping me date that building.
Yeah, thank you.
Just here to see what's going on with the grant for the water for the arena.
Oh.
Horseman, she's in charge.
No change,
No change.
no change. We're
Nothing's being taken away.
We're just waiting on you guys to,
We're waiting on you guys.
Yeah, we're waiting
Well-
for yes, we can move forward with our bid and
We gotta have,
contract and.
we have to go by, the fed, or the state procurement, so that's,
And I believe I've met that.
you've had 3 bids? Okay.
So the question was, just, is it in compliance? So we
Okay,
run that
and that's
through
what we
and
ran
make
through
sure
with
that it is,
Ben.
yeah.
Okay.
And they were waiting on being able to get that signed in, but I know internally there was some concerns about what levels and what does that look like. So, sorry to throw this back on you guys, but I was waiting for the green light on how we were looking on the procurement. We've had those discussions on the levels, what they look like, the phasing, and so where we are on that.
And I agree with Ben, one of the problems with phasing, we gotta be careful of, is Idaho Code 591026, that we're not willfully or knowingly or separately purchasing or splitting up the projects with the intent of avoiding the compliance. So if Ben is okay with that, then he's the one that'll be fine, that'll make that final call.
So is Ben okay with it?
I will check with him. I wanted to make sure that we had finished everything, kind of like our discussion, and make sure that we finished everything, had all the dotted crossed, and everybody was on board with which level we were going with, so,
I'm-
yep, I will send that in.
I'm very familiar with the bid requirements and splitting out bids. But anyway, with any common sense, the problem we have is we're drilling a well and we're building a pump house and then we're putting the water out to the areas that we're gonna irrigate. There isn't any well people that build irrigation systems. They just won't do it. That's not their bailiwick. They drill wells, and that's what every one of them said. We drill wells. And we have to go someplace else to get the water system delivered to the arenas. So you literally cannot put together a bid that encompasses all of it unless you can find a contractor that wants to spend the time trying to find an irrigation person that'll do that end of it. The other part that's convoluted is you drill a well, and depending on how much water determines the size of the system, the pump system that you're gonna have to deliver the water. If you're just gonna bid that and the part that's kind of squirrely breaking out is if most contractors, if you say I want a well in my house, they come in, they drill the well, and then they put in the pump system. So we're saying we wanna drill the well, but if that well doesn't deliver enough water, then we have to build a storage system to store the water, which changes the bid on the pump system. If we get enough water that we want, it's an easy go. But if that water isn't there, we have to recalculate how we're gonna collect the water and deliver it to the system, what size pumps it takes to get it out and all.
Have you tried outside this area? Cause there's plenty of farming and everything over in eastern Washington. I mean, I know there's gotta be guys out there that do this every day for farmers.
We went to the state site of all the licensed bidders in Idaho.
Okay.
Everyone, and we visited, we attempted to make contact at every single one.
Okay.
Aqua in Coeur d'Alene, we stopped at their office twice and we called 3 different times, no return. One of the numbers is out of business. Every other one, we made personal contact, sit down and talk to them. Every one of them told us the same thing. The other kicker is virtually every one of those drillers are 24 months out in contracts. And so if you ask them, and I've got letters there from them to document, we're interested, but it's gonna be 24 months and maybe things are gonna change. We have one contractor.
Some of them to get on the bid list.
Just to get on the bid list.
On the list.
You're out 24 months.
Okay.
One contractor said, I will get it done for you this fall. By this fall, I'll have the pump and the system in. Then we have to go find people that'll put in the irrigation system.
Yeah, so that's what she was talking about, phasing, and if we can do the phasing, if that's okay with Ben, and it gets around, the Idaho code, then,
We don't wanna get around it, but if it
I mean, not get
aligns
around,
with it.
aligns with it, yeah.
Let's not get around it.
So, do I need to sit down with Ben and explain what the dilemma is? Because he may not know.
No, that's,
No.
we've gone through that, and I'm actually having a conversation tomorrow with the state guy that Ben refers to a lot, and, kind of going over some of the intricacies of it, so, I will have an answer from him tomorrow that I can make sure that
Yeah.
everybody
See,
is aware of.
our hands are tied on the federal procurement because they, the federal rules state that, we have to use state procurement, so we have to use state procurement. If we don't do that, we could lose federal funding, and it says lose federal funding, which could mean our SRS funds, it could mean everything. So that's kind of what, we gotta follow the rules, and so now we gotta do state procurement, and so that's kind of where we're at right now is
But we're
at
all-
that
But
stage.
where we're not using one contractor, because one contractor will not do all the different sections of the project.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that,
Can't find one to
Exactly.
do them all.
yeah, there's not one. In fact, one of the drillers said, that's all we do is drill. We don't put in the pump system. You go find somebody else to do that. It's like, seriously? We don't have a
And then have the over and barrel and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening with the Pinehurst, community center too. It's hard to find contractors and hard to find, so.
Well, I was going around the room. Did you have any comment?
Order all.
You're all in that one. Do you have any comments, Jay?
I just know how hard it is for you guys, cause we went through it, giving out all many of these projects. When this money first came available, Bonner County or Boundary ones up north said, we don't want it, they send it back. And everyone that comes before you is very passionate for what they wanna do, I understand that. But on the, I disagree with one thing that you did today, I believe that, I don't even know if you can get just one radar speed sign that Warden's asked for, I think you have to buy two, but I'm not positive. And you gave the money to the, and I'm not picking on anyone, but you gave it to the Friends of the River, which is a good, I'm not picking on them, but I'd read, and, they have their big huge fundraisers in June or July where they make tens of thousands of dollars. And, you say it on Facebook, but I'm talking to them. So anyway, and that 3,500 you gave her could have bought another light up in Wardener, and if some little kid gets run over because somebody's going too fast coming down. Not that the light, what's gonna stop them, but that's just my opinion. And we gave them money last year to Friends of the River, and we didn't give Wardener anything, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for trying to date the building.
Do what?
For helping me try to date the
Oh,
building.
that's fine.
But it's not your fault you were younger than John.
No.
I have a question, and I will clarify. We don't make tens of thousands of dollars. Our first year, we made 8. We spent almost all of that on dumpsters and trash. The next year, we brought in about 13, which we spent more than 10, actually, it turns out, on the vessel. So the rest, the other 3 has gone to, and you can see by the fees from last year, gone to the dumpsters. Everything we do goes back into the community for the entire community. We don't make tons of money. It took us a lot just to have the money to buy, to make hats and t-shirts that we hope will bring in a few $100s. But other than that, I'm curious about something, because I don't understand, and it's just my ignorance. I don't understand how a fish hatchery ties in with the Horsemen's Association.
It has
Yeah,
nothing
it
to do
does.
with
Why does it keep getting the plumbing for?
Two
And
different.
it's totally
different
Oh,
different.
okay, that's
Two
where
different
I was
plumbing.
Two
getting
different.
confused. Two different.
Sportsmen's Association and New York Horsemen's
Yeah.
Association.
He just happened to.
Oh,
I'm a
He happens to
director
be
on
on the
both.
board of both.
okay,
Yeah.
because I'm like, what?
So
Okay.
the cause of confusion was.
Me.
Right.
He helps the
Okay.
community a lot, so he's
Yeah.
on different boards to
Well,
help
that's
people.
great, we all try. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Any comments? Robin?
So, for clarification, if Ben decides that this is an effort to split it out, then I'll have to go out and find a contractor that can work with an irrigation person and have them submit a cooperative bid.
Well, what you provided me, I'll be able to give to them so they can make a pretty good determination on what has to happen here, so you guys have done a lot of due diligence on that.
Yeah, working with procurements on a lot of federal grants, I don't think this is.
But if for some reason it
Outside
doesn't
of
work,
that opinion.
we don't wanna lose the grant, we want the opportunity to go out and it'll cost significantly more if we have to try to put that together.
Okay.
And there might not be any contractors that are interested. When you got 2 years' business in front of you, you don't need to go chase a little project like ours when
Right.
they can make a lot more money elsewhere, so, thank you.
Leslie, do you have anything?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Any comments?
Nope.
Steve, comments?
I would like to say, as I have in the past, I am very positively struck with the amount of civil discourse and especially preparation ahead of time, practiced by Ms. Colleen, and just well done.
Okay. Compliments, get them, take them while you can get them.
My ego loves them, thank you.
Works hard.
All right. Any further comments from the board? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.